When the wild rice pollinates just like any other kind of flowering plant, it smells so fresh and so from the earth. That's what reminds me of home, that smell. I could just smell the rice growing and coming up out of the water. I traveled everywhere in this United States, and of all the places, this is the place I'd rather be than anywhere.
Small town America, just like a lot of other little towns across the country. It's the type of town where population was 900. You had to wave at everybody because you knew everybody. So it was a very, very nice little small town.
Hundreds of families now face the very real possibility of losing their homes.
The true impact of the levee break wouldn't be known until sunrise.
We've watched the silos go, we've watched the barn go, we've watched a shed go, and now the house itself has been lifted off the foundation by these floodwaters. It's just unbelievable.
We've had this 4th of July celebration for past 4 decades, and it was always through Main Street of the old town here, and we still have the parade, and it's kind of funny because a lot of the people sit where they used to always sit before the flood, in front of either their house or friends' homes, and it's just it's hard to, I always say, let go.
Valmeyer was catastrophically flooded up to the 3rd floor in some cases after the great Midwestern flood of 1993. Its levee broke and a wall of water came in. And in the aftermath, Valmeyer decided never again. And it built an all-new town up about 300 feet higher on the bluffs overlooking the Mississippi River, but not threatened by that river.
We looked at several locations for the relocation. We didn't want to go too far from where the original town was. If we didn't keep it close to the old town and keep the identity and keep some of the things, traditions and activities and things of the original town area, I don't think we'd have gotten the participation from as many of our residents as we did.
Yeah, so we have 5 structures mapped right here, and obviously there's only 2 houses.
So we're going to tag this. We're looking at about a dozen U.S. towns. These are mostly small, rural floodplain towns that have addressed flood risk through drastic action. What we do is we analyze, actually quantify the move. How many structures, what type of structures are left on the floodplain, how many have moved. We'll use that data to model how much flood damage has been averted and try to quantify the success rather than just judging from anecdotal reports. All of these communities that have moved are different, and that's part of the spectrum that we're trying to flesh out.
What you see, like if we turn this way, but right here is one of the most ancient roads over there. And that's where the main village is at, right here.
Valmeyer and Odanah are clearly different. Valmeyer proudly promotes its move as big success, as part of its new heritage, if you will. Odanah is the exact opposite. In terms of number of structures no longer on the floodplain, which is how FEMA would measure it, it's a near total success. However, you talk to at least some of the residents and they'll tell you a different story.
50 years ago, there was this post office here, gas station, and houses all along here, houses all along here, houses over here, and all through the old town here. 50 years ago. Now it's all gone. Because somebody said that we shouldn't live where we had been living for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
I wanted to move back down there. I want to stay alongside the river. See, that is our heritage. That's why we live to stay close to that water, because that's a part of our medicine. What we have is in and by that water. I'll move back to it right now. I don't care about the flood. We could always wait the flood. It just lasts a couple days. It doesn't last a lifetime. But just living alongside of that water, that's what I would rather have.
Clearly, the town of Odanah, the Chippewa tribe, has a whole history that's very different than other relocation communities. The reality is Odanah is more of a mixed success to FEMA, but we got at least, some strong sentiments within the town that they do not see this as a uniform positive. The story tells itself. It's not for us to tell the story of Odanah. It's for Odanah, it's people to tell that story. Managed retreat is on the lips of a lot of politicians. Somewhere between 300 and perhaps even 700 communities across the U.S. may be at threat of serious and repeated inundation within the next 100 years. And here are the lessons of how to guide that. And they are successful and even unsuccessful relocation efforts in the past. We need to learn from those and not fund each of these things from scratch every time they become pressing. We need to look at the full toolkit, the full spectrum of solutions available to it.